Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Adam. I'm here with the Use.
What's up, guys? Smash that subscribe button because we got some big news for you. Adam, why don't you tell us what we're going to talk about today?
We're going to be covering the saga that just never ends, Use, with Ousmane Dembele and some new news coming out. Then we'll cover Ansu Fati and his decision to not have surgery, which, it's a decision that's against the club's recommendations. We'll talk about Ronald Araujo and his denying and rejecting the first contract renewal that Barca have thrown on the table. And then we'll speak a little bit about Jordi Alba and some comments he made after the game at the weekend. So let's get into it, Use, because I know everyone is not sick and tired of hearing about Dembele, and I know half the fan base hasn't moved on and, just wants him to leave. But rumors are Dembele's agent was in London yesterday. Definitely had a meeting with Chelsea, might have had a meeting with some other clubs in the Premier League. And he flew back, and all of a sudden today we're getting reports that Demebel wants to speak with Laporta directly. We're getting, rumors that Dembele's agent has not asked for a meeting with anyone, and it's a little bit hard to tell what's going on here. I think, we saw on Talk FCB, Jamie posting a lot of anti-Dembele comments. You guys know I'm a Dembele fan, and I would like him to renew, though, of course, at terms that are agreeable to Barca. But is there anything to learn from this debacle, Use? Is there any new information you see or thoughts you have? I mean, I think it would be kind of funny if Dembele's agent went to talk with Chelsea and got laughed out of the room for what he was trying to request. And that's, one theory people have. Well, the other reports are saying that, Chelsea might actually be really interested and that they're close to terms, except Chelsea wants to get Dembele in the summer and not in January.
Sure. And I think that, it could definitely be that the agent went to Chelsea and they were like, come on, guys, we already know that's ridiculous because of his injury proneness, just his underperformance in terms of goal scoring. But at the same time, let's be honest, Dembele said multiple times and said to Xavi saying that I don't want to leave. I'm letting my agent take care of it and I take care of what's on the pitch. And so I don't think he's always said he wanted to stay at Barcelona and perform. And I think after the Alaves Barca game, even Xavi was saying that he wasn't playing not because of this whole debacle of his contract. It was just he wasn't feeling well, right? So at this point, what I'm trying to say is I don't know if there's anything more to learn. I think we already knew what was on the table. We knew what Dembele was asking for a lot, but at the same time, it may be kind of him running back and saying like, "Hey, I don't have that many options." Go ahead.
Yeah, there is something new, right? That's a new thing, is that
Sure.
Dembele seems to be opening the table, and if the rumors are true, again, these are rumors, but we got to go off what we got to go off of, right, guys? Like, if the rumors are true that he's trying to open up a conversation with Laporta directly, and allegedly without his agent, maybe the rumors. It's so hard to tell, man. I just get frustrated, with European
That's
soccer.
the Spanish
because,
media.
Yeah, English media too is not great. Media all across.
Sure.
Just as we've talked about, there's so many different agents and family members and entourages that are, trying to whisper and get their narrative out in the media. In U.S. sports, you have it, but way less. I feel like there's a higher level of rigor that's required on these type of reportings in America. Nonetheless, right, there has always been one narrative being pushed by Dembele, probably himself, that he wants to say it's just the club and him can't agree. Then there's the whole narrative that the board seems to be pushing, probably Laporta himself, that Dembele's agent is the problem, right? There seems to have been a clear attempt by both sides to not have it be like Dembele hates the club or the club hates Dembele. And so there's always that slimmer of hope that people like me have that we can reach a deal here, although none of the reports say anything about any sort of numbers Dembele is willing to meet or any sort of meeting in the middle. So I think at this point we just have to kind of wait it out and hope that, the club either does what's best for us, which is sell him this winter, or Dembele acquiesces and agrees to stay with us.
Sure. But what was kind of interesting was even Dembele posted on Instagram saying like, hey, it's kind of it is time to leave, basically. So at the same time, it's weird to even have him I guess letting out.
I don't agree with that, though. I don't agree with your interpretation of what he said. He was saying that he doesn't like to be the villain and that the media is against him, right? So, very similar to what Jordi Alba said at the end of last game. And I don't think his comments were necessarily like, I hate the club, I want to leave. It was more that he doesn't like to be portrayed as a villain.
I think he put more of like not a resignation letter, but a letter of leave is what I'm saying. Like, hey, things didn't work out. We haven't come to an agreement. It looks like I'm going to be leaving. Not to say that he has any ill will towards the team, because I know he wants to stay at Barca from all. Well, I don't know that, but all the reports say that. And I
know what you're trying to say. I really didn't think that was at all the intent of his letter. I really think it was like a proclamation against like all the different rumors swirling around, especially some, if we remember right before he put out that statement, there were some allegations that Dembele's agent was like being unprofessional and like cursing in meetings. And I think, perhaps that was what was the reason for him to go.
I hope not.
But let us know in the comments what you guys think and where you stand with Dembele at this point, even though I hope you've done it in other videos we've done before. Now let's move on to Ansu Fati use.
I know, dude. I don't like this somewhat, but I can totally understand it. He's opted out of taking another surgery on his injured legs, right, or leg. And he's going to go over a shorter recovery period, but who knows what can happen, because we've had other players who opted out of surgery, and MTT. Who know, like it was a wish-wash, right? MTT and PK. MTT still not recovered very well, and PK on the other hand has seemed to make a really good recovery and has actually improved his performance over recent games. So we just kind of have to see what Fati's or how Fati's going to respond to this type of recovery. It's more of a conservative recovery, but I'm scared because he's had so many problems over the last 6+ months, right, Adam? I mean, like, what could go much better by opting out of recovery or out of surgery?
Well, I think the big thing here is, it's hard to really it's a similar talk we had to Dembele over the last few years. It's like, it's a really crazy mental toll to have surgery, right? Like most people don't have that many surgeries in their life, and especially when you're an athlete and they're literally operating on the thing that brings you, your family livelihood and the thing that has brought you so much joy in your life, it takes a toll. In the recovery process, there's so many days and nights alone, not being able to move very much in a bed, like having to do rehab with trainers without your full team. And he's a young kid, right? Ansu Fati is certainly still a kid, and so it's a lot to ask of him to be able to just go under surgery again. And then, there's a whole other point, which is that our team doctors are bad, right? Like we've just been so upset with how many different players have gotten injured, how many different players have not recovered on the timelines, how Pedri was injured, came back, got injured again really soon, how that happened to Fati just now, and it happened to Fati actually earlier this season. So, I mean, right, if you think about 2 months ago, Fati came back from an injury and then got injured again. And so it's just like, I wouldn't be, one, I totally understand his mental mind state and the tax that it would take on him to do a surgery, and two, I wouldn't be the one who's going to say, yeah, Barca doctors, I'll do whatever you want, right? It's not like there's that great track record there to make him have confidence.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a difficult decision, and it's a hard situation to really sit through, especially Fati. Every time he comes back to the pitch, he seems so passionate, and to have that stripped away from him right when he gets it back is tough, right? And, complications from surgeries can have their own ill effects. It's not always, hey, this is going to fix you. You never really know. It could also cause scar tissue. Whatever the case may be, it's a tough decision, and I just hope that this decision really pans out for him well, because we need him back on the pitch. And obviously, I think you just mentioned to me recently that we've had so many different combinations of attacking three due to so many of these injuries, that having Fati back will kind of minimize that, so we can kind of get more of a congruent attacking front that knows what they're doing, familiar with each other, and able to score some goals, dude, because that's really a problem that we've been having. But, it doesn't matter. Time will only tell. We can, talk about it as long as we want. Nothing's going to happen until we figure out if this is going through. But, I'm worried about right now, with all kinds of different issues with all these players that we're talking about, Araujo not rejecting that new extension contract extension, excuse me. And then, I think we both think he's such a great player. And the fact that we've talked in the past that he could be going to the Premier League, I'm scared, man. We really need him. And I know there's some people out there that like Eric Garcia, but I think Araujo is just
we need a partnership,
so much
right?
better.
You're not going to have Garcia with like Lenglet. Like, we've already been not too happy with how that went last year, even though I'm on Team Lenglet and want him to have a chance to come back. But Alamani, our like part of our sporting director team, he is a good negotiator, right? We've been praising him so much for how we got Ferran Torres, for how we got Umtiti to adjust his wages, for how we got Coutinho to leave on loan and cut some of his wages. And so, I have confidence now in this Laporta board to be able to negotiate contracts well. So I think this is a lot of hoopla, right? It's from Marca. There's a lot of people out there who who think this might be some bad news, right? The rumors Chelsea and Manchester United are keeping aware. I just think Barca went in with a low offer to start. There's nothing more to it, nothing less than that. And, of course, both sides want more or less money. And I just think Araujo said, hey, this first deal is not good enough. And the team will go back and we'll figure out how to get him a better offer, right? I think there's so many times, even this season, where Araujo will score a goal. He'll, touch the crest, kiss the crest. He seems like he's very proud of being a Barca player.
Sure.
And I don't have that huge fear that he's going to leave. I think, of course, he is a top-level CB. He is young, and he has room to improve. And there are going to be teams all over Europe who want him because I do feel like there's a little bit of a lack of top-level CBs in the market right now. So, yeah, we're going to hear a lot of rumors throughout the coming weeks. But I would say, hey, we have confidence in this Laporta board now because we've seen them have a good winter. Let's just let them do their thing, not stress about it too much, and hope that Araujo and the board can come to a good contract renewal.
Sure, a lot of these things we're talking about are rumors. We're reporting on the latest news. We don't have too much to really dive into, essentially. But I totally agree with you. I just hope that he really loves Barca like all these other players have claimed, and he gets to stay and he's happy, right? Because that's a big part of a lot of these players staying on this team is them being happy. And I think with a lot of criticism that comes out against some of these older players, it's hard to see yourself stay on a team when you know that the fans or the people that are supposed to be supporting you start to turn against you, right? There is comments from Alba, comments against Busquets, against Piqué, for all the times that they've or seem to be old, slow, and underperforming. But Adam, why don't you go into some of the comments that Jordi Alba had post Alaves Barca game?
Well, he was just saying that he feels singled out and that it's not the first time it's happened to him. He said that he accepts there's criticism because, Barca can be a circus and there will always be criticism there. He said if he plays a good game, they won't talk about me, and if he doesn't play well like the other day, they will kill him. And he's accepted that. I'm a little bit... I feel for Jordi Alba because I do think that when he has good games, which is, I would say more than 50% of the time over the last 3 seasons, he doesn't get that much credit anymore. He was really highly lauded, 4, 5, 6 years ago, but ever since Anfield, rightly so, he's been criticized harshly for big game performances, and that's an issue we have. We've been talking so much about how we need to get Balde or another left back in there to try and replace Jordi Alba as time goes on, but I think the issue with us is not his performance, right? Like, we're not necessarily mad at players if they perform poorly. It's a combination of performing poorly and not showing interest in improving that gets us mad. And that's, I think, where we stand with Jordi Alba, because in the last month or two, it just feels like he's not as engaged as he normally is. It feels like he's always a second slow to react to things. It feels like he just doesn't have the same passion he used to have. And, maybe part of that is Messi leaving. We saw so many times that Jordi Alba had such a great connection with Messi. It has to be a little bit difficult for him to try and get reacquainted to new strikers and new wingers who he doesn't have that same sort of years of connection with. And so I understand where his frustration may come from. I just want to see him more engaged in games and trying harder and showing more effort because, we know he's a good player. And even though we want a replacement for him, the reason we haven't replaced him, we can't find someone better. And so as long as he acknowledges he's playing poorly and gets to work to try and improve it, that's what I want to see. I mean, of course, I want Alba to not be our main starter next year and definitely 2 seasons after that. But, I can I see both sides of the story.
Sure. To be fair, he plays an absurd amount of minutes per season. Same with Busquets, same with Piqué, right? We don't have, although we have a lot of center backs or a few center backs to choose from to replace Piqué, we have a decent midfield that we have 0. So it's definitely hard to judge him when he's like the only person that can really stand that ground, and he's done it so many times. But the fact that we have to rely on him in these big games, especially and against these fast teams, it's just not good enough sometimes. Yeah. And so I totally get it, but There is, I think, one last thing you wanted to talk about briefly was Messi coming to see Xavi and Busquets.
Oh, no, come on. It's not that important. Messi came to Xavi's birthday party dinner with Busquets. PK wasn't there. There's now a lot of rumors circling around about like how
you
PK,
love the drama. Come on.
I do love drama, but I don't know if everyone else does, about how PK, like apparently under Bartomeu last season, PK, Messi, and Busquets were all negotiating with Bartomeu to have a contract reduce across the board, and then PK went on his own and got his own contract reduced, and then someone on the team wrote like "Your Judas" on the team's board in the locker room. It's a lot of hoopla. I mean, overall, it sucks to think that Messi and PK aren't super friendly, because it does seem like that, but just love seeing Messi and Barca, and it's just fun to talk about.
Agreed.
So I hope you guys let us know in the comments your thoughts about Dembele, Fati, and Araujo especially, and Jordi Alba, what you think about his. And hit that subscribe button. We have a little bit of a down week because there's not any games, because we're not in the Copa del Rey, unfortunately, as we all know. But we will see you again soon to talk over any new news that we hear. So thank you guys always for your support. It means the world to us. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.